If you're a creative person in any way, I can almost guarantee that you've experienced burnout. But what if I told you there were ways that you can avoid burnout completely or still create amazing work if you're in burnout right now? Hello, my lovelies, 'tis I, Bee, and welcome back to this video. So, a couple of things to start with. What is artist burnout? Creative burnout, it is this feeling of being stuck in your creative field, completely unmotivated in your creative life. And it's a very frustrating feeling to have. It's not very fun. You really just don't want to get stuck in it. It's terrifying to have. Sometimes you might want to create and you just have absolutely no ideas. Or you might be experiencing the opposite of that, where you have tons and tons of ideas, but you have no clue on how to start them, or just lacking the complete motivation to pick up the pencil and draw. It's this weird phenomenon where the tools of your craft simply become your enemy. The pencil is trying to attack you, the camera is laughing at you from its corner or shelf. It really just makes your creative life so terrifying and hard, but it also affects other areas of your life. You might be feeling frustrated or angry and lashing out at those around you, or when someone brings up your hobbies or your craft, you don't know what to say and you feel embarrassed and frustrated with yourself at the same time because you should be able to create, but for some reason you just can't. And if someone hasn't experienced creative burnout themselves, you can't really explain it to them because they think you're just making things up and making excuses. But that's okay because we're gonna get through it together, and I'm gonna tell you how. To understand how to get over creative burnout or prevent it, you need to know what causes it. Things that may cause creative burnout. There are many things that can cause creative burnout, and unfortunately not all of them are going to be in your control, but things that are in your control is overworking yourself. If you've been creating non-stop for weeks and weeks on end, eventually you are going to reach the end of your rope because there's only so much that you can fill your brain with. Your brain has this bucket of creative juices, and if you're not constantly refilling it, eventually your bucket's gonna get empty, and that's when you reach creative burnout. But this can also happen because of things in your personal life. You could be overworking yourself at your day job and just simply be too exhausted mentally to create something. But there are also other factors besides overworking that can cause this creative burnout, and that may look like things like depression or anxiety, health issues like chronic pain, or it could simply just be school or work. Those things are outside of your control for the most part, and you can only do as much as you can to control them, and that's okay too. Or it could be something as simple as a lack of ideas, in which case you're just not consuming enough content, and that's okay. And I'm not trying to tell you to go sit in front of the TV for 12 hours a day, because that's not going to help, but you do need to consume some sort of content to have ideas. Ideas feed off other things that you consume because nothing is original. With all of that being said, the meat of this video, what you're all here to learn, how do you prevent burnout? So I'm going to explain to you how I prevent creative burnout in my life in the ways that I've cultivated for myself and learned from others. Keep in mind, you can take or leave as little as you want. There is no guarantee what's going to work for you because you're a different human being than I am. But I'm going to give you my secrets. So I guess they're not secrets anymore, huh? So I keep a list in my Notion of all of my creative projects. I have a column simply for ideas. They're backup ideas. First of all, you're going to need to keep these backup ideas in something like a journal or your phone, notes app, something like that. Something that's always with you or that can always be taken with you, even if it just looks like a piece of paper in your wallet that you switch out every week. So what kind of ideas go on this list? Because if it's something you're really excited about, you should create it right away. These are ideas you want to make eventually, but you're not super passionate or urgent about. And these aren't just snippets of an idea. They can start out that way, but these are going to be fully thought out, complete ideas that just need to be sat down and made. If you only have a snippet of an idea, maybe when you have some extra free time or while you're watching TV, you're going to open back up that list, put it in a database for yourself, and then finish out the idea. What it's going to look like, what you want it to look like, what it's going to be made out of, how you're going to do it, all that stuff. Have it fully, completely fleshed out so it just needs to be sat down and made. And then when you want to create, but you can't think of anything, entering that beginning of burnout stage, you have something to fall back on. You don't need to have your creative bucket filled up and full, ready to go, because you already sat down and made the idea, right? You just have to sit down, pick up the pencil, and do it. This, for me, is extremely helpful. And as of the moment of making this video, I have over 100 ideas in my backup list. That sounds crazy, but it's been a couple months in the making. So these aren't all like from one day. These will manifest over time, and these are all fully fleshed out ideas I just haven't gotten to. I have this rule that keeps my idea bucket full, and it's called the 3-1 rule. You might not be creating something every single day in your day-to-day life, and that's okay, that's normal. But for the times that you do happen to be working consistently and creating all the time, 24/7, that's not healthy. You're draining your bucket. You're not filling it back up. So the 3-1 rule is to prevent that. It's to prevent the overworking. For every 3 days that you spend the majority of your time creating something, you have to take 1 day off. This doesn't mean that on that day off you can't do anything creative. It just means it's not your main focus. You do something else. It's so that way you get a creative break. But if you get to the end of the day and you're kind of bored and you don't really know what else to do, you can whip out your sketchbook. You can toy with it a little bit, but it still can't be your main focus. It's like a background activity. We're all kind of hermits. I understand that. We're creative people. We hide in our tiny little holes. We don't really like going out that much, at least in my experience. But this is gonna sound a little harsh, guys, but you have to get out of the studio to get inspiration. There are things in the outside world that you just can't emulate in your day-to-day life if you're staying at home all the time in your hole. Like, for example, food that someone else makes and not yourself. I mean, you can DoorDash yourself food, but it's not the same, you know? It's not the same. Maybe you need to go see a movie with friends, or you have a doctor's appointment. It can be something as simple as running to the post office even. But having some sort of outside contact at least once or twice a week will help you get inspiration. There was a point last month where I literally hadn't left the house for 6 months. And I'm not joking. I hadn't left my house for 6 months. And I was getting towards the end of my creative rope. So what I did was I left the house every single day for an entire week. I was not home. When I got back home, I was itching to paint. I was so excited, and my creative bucket had completely filled back up. It might not work every time, but it does work. So the last way I try to prevent creative burnout is to do something really, really boring. You might be thinking to yourself, what? Let me tell you. Doing something boring like cleaning your bathroom or organizing your kitchen cabinets, you keep a little pen next to you, it empties your mind, and all you can do is think. And at first you'll think about the things that are happening in your life around you, and then eventually that's when the ideas flow in. You're gonna have a pen and a piece of paper next to you, not your phone, that way you can't get distracted. Actual piece of paper and a pen. Every time those ideas flow in, you're gonna stop what you're doing, write it down, and then start again. You're gonna be bored. You're gonna be super bored, but it's gonna be great. It'll be great to refill your creative bucket and just take a nice breather. These are ways that you can try to prevent creative burnout, but what if you're already in creative burnout? I have some great tips for you. You're gonna take a break. Don't hit me, I promise, I'm not joking. Take a break. Like, do not touch your creative outlet for at least 3 days. Do something else. You might get bored, and I promise it'll be worth it. Let yourself scroll through TikTok. This is procrastination time. It's productive, trust me. That's what refills your creative bucket, is consuming things and having ideas and other thoughts stuck in your head to make your own. Get out of the studio, please, I beg of you. Go outside, touch some grass. It's been a while, and I understand, but get out of your creative space. Preferably, go hang out with some people, go get yourself a nice dinner. This is not an overnight process getting out of burnout. It's a few days minimum, but you will get there, and I'm here to help you through it. It'll be okay. Those are what you're gonna do if you just have no ideas, right? Okay? But if you listen to me and you made a list of fully fleshed out ideas, you just don't have the motivation to do it, or maybe you have tons and tons of ideas and you've been writing them down as you go, you just, every time you look at the pencil, you want to cry, you want to throw it, you want to scream. Or what if you just have no emotions towards the pencil at all? What if it just sits there and it stares back at you? You don't know what to do. Because you want to make something, you just can't. So don't judge me here, because I've experienced this too, and you're gonna think I'm crazy because I say I understand what you're going through, but then I'm gonna tell you something like this, and it's gonna sound so terrible. You're gonna sit down and you're gonna look at all of your ideas. You're gonna pick up the pencil and you're just gonna make it. You make the thing. And even if you're unmotivated, you just have to pick up that pencil, sit down. You don't have to make it all in one day. Part of creative burnout, once you get towards the end of it, you're scared to go back, because what if it happens again? What if you lost all your talents and skills and you have to start over? Trust me, you will not have to start completely over. You'll be fine. Don't worry, it's gonna be totally normal if you hate it or if it's not perfect. That's kind of the point. It's not gonna be your final product. It's like a draft. So, but what if this didn't help you, right? What if you still aren't fully motivated? What if you feel a little bit better but not quite? You pick another idea and you just keep going. Sometimes you just have to get through it. And I know that's not the best advice for everything, but for creative burnout, it can be. So thank you all so much for joining me for this video. I very much hope that none of you have to experience creative burnout if you can help it. But if you do, that's okay. I've experienced multiple times. Eventually you will make wonderful creative things again. I promise. If you made it to this part of the video and you enjoyed the content, or even if you didn't, you know, I'm not here to judge, please consider subscribing and liking the video. There will be more videos linked in the description below if you want to watch more of my content, and I will see you all next time. I hope you all have great days and make wonderful art. Bye!